We started our morning out here at the east end of China Siding on the Union Pacific Sunset Route. But just looking around, you can hardly tell it belongs to the Union Pacific. No, this is not a Union Pacific train bound for Englewood Yard with foreign power. This is actually a Kansas City Southern Manifest train, presumably from Shreveport, Louisiana to Sanchez, Mexico. The KCS runs on the UP Sunset Route between Beaumont, Texas and Rosenberg, Texas, using decades-long trackage rights to Flatonia. However, recently, KCS rebuilt the ex-Southern Pacific Macaroni line to Victoria, so they take a more direct connection to the border to Mexico. This overhead operation will be the focus of this video. Another interesting note is that the XSP is a primarily westbound only main, with the exception to BNSF trains coming from Dayton, Texas, while the Missouri Pacific carries most of the eastbound traffic, including the KCS trains. We would spend most of the day in Beaumont, Texas, arriving just in time to the famed railfan-friendly downtown Courthouse Police Station parking lot, in time to see an eastbound UP manifest coming from Englewood and going towards Livonia. Opposite to the trackage rights that KCS has over the UP much of the way through Houston, Union Pacific is crossing the Neches River on actually the KCS Beaumont sub. They briefly have trackage rights over the line that is part of KCS's original trunk to Port Arthur, Texas. Apologies for the noise from the pressure washing in the background, which really we couldn't do much about, but an interesting eastbound from Eagle Pass heading to Livonia arrived here for a crew change at the Beaumont Amtrak station, which offers a nice view of the Union Pacific Beaumont Yard from the east and also serves the Amtrak Sunset Limited. We will actually be seeing the Sunset Limited a couple times during this trip, but it'll be on a separate video. Anyhow, soon after, this eastbound went underway as the weather started to clear up, and a westbound unit vinyl chloride train started to appear. Not sure where this one is going. we were able to catch up with the EGLI to the downtown courthouse lot in better peace and quiet. And right as it was about to leave, an eastbound, empty Kansas City Southern grain train from presumably Brownsville, Texas, pulled up. And once they got a new crew, they were also on their way. I've grown to really love these KCS grain trains. They are really cool looking, have a pretty decent variety of cars, and they run quite frequently on this overhead route. Grabbed lunch at, you guessed it, Raising Cane's, and arrived back just in time to see the Kansas City Southern's Beaumont local returning to their yard, which is just south of the city central. This westbound was presumably the LIEW, Livonia to Englewood, which has a lot of cars coming from CSX interchange in New Orleans, Louisiana. And with this train is a potentially familiar block of boxcars. FEC receives a lot of beer from Mexico via UP and CSX. This could be it. We aimed for a favorable shot with the SP tri-lights at the east end of China, and returned back east to Rose City, Texas, where the KCS trunk splits off and the Union Pacific line continues east to New Orleans. This time we are intent on catching some more KCS action. And not long after, there's a manifest waiting to head west.
Southbound, did you get a copy on that? Flags are down, form be expired, clear to proceed. Alright, copy on that, flags down, we are clear to proceed. Yes, sir, you guys have a safe trip, WBL 10. Alright, yeah, we'll be here. KCSM, 45
Likely this is another section of the SHSZ heading to Sanchez, Mexico on the KCSM. The power is practically a dead giveaway. And here, a loaded grain train heading towards the border. They would actually stop and wait and wait and wait a few miles south of here at the end of the track. And another southbound manifest on the KCS. This one presumably the SHBM Shreveport to Beaumont. The next day we're at Beasley, Texas, this time on the Macaroni Line, the ex-Southern Pacific line that connected from Rosenberg to Victoria. We are waiting on a southbound KCS intermodal train coming from Shreveport, Louisiana, and presumably going towards Laredo, Texas, and on to Mexico. What's interesting is the second engine on this last shuttle. Train will law out at Kendleton Yard, a rail yard that the KCS built with the purchase of the SP a couple miles south of Beasley. Kendleton Yard not only holds trains waiting on a crew, it also offers transloading services as well as ramps, intermodal, and vehicle traffic. That being said, we followed a loaded grain train heading towards Mexico out and southbound along the KCS Rosenberg sub, getting them at a couple places along the line. As Voice the Artiste would say, the action from Texas is far from finished. We've got a lot more to cover in a forthcoming video from the Houston Metroplex, including more KCS action as well as BNSF and UP all over the region. That being said, I would like to thank you guys for joining us thus far, and if you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. I will get back to those very soon. And if you want to see the upcoming video, you gotta make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Anyhow, from El Campo, Texas, on the KCS X Southern Pacific Rosenberg sub, this is TE out.